you can do better than that. This is the Queen of the Morning.
How are we?
There we go. Queen of the Morning, who is now a bit of a beginner.
Yes, yes.
You have left the Today Show. You have a new book coming out later this month, Jump and Find Joy. You heard it here first, unless you already saw it on Hoda's Instagram. But let's talk about Joy 101. It's your new venture. What is it?
Well, you know what's funny? When I was leaving the Today Show, I mean, who would ever leave that job? And then I thought, you know, it's funny. Sometimes you leave something you love, and then you find something you love. If you have an ex and you've fallen in love again, you know what that feels like. And so I've always been somebody who, I ran in the park, I ate broccoli, I did all the things, but in my 50s, I started feeling a little, you know, kind of like meh, and I was like, something's not working. So Jenna Bush Hager said to me, you gotta try Breathwork, Hoda, it's amazing, it's gonna make you feel good. I go, girl, I've been breathing for 58 years. I do not need your guidance. And then I said, she goes, try it. So I met this woman on Zoom. I did a Breathwork class, Maggie. It was transformative. If you've ever done it, I started breathing with this lady on Zoom. When it was over, I had exploded in tears and didn't know why, but I had instant clarity and energy. And so that all of a sudden something in my life clicked in. I went to work at 3:30 in the morning and I was reading my stack of notes. Everything was landing. You know, when you're like, I felt like I had slept for 3 days, I was on fire, I had everything going. So I started looking for things that filled that bucket. Breath work, meditation. I went to a place called the Hoffman Institute. All these things added together. And I was looking online, like, where's a place I could find stuff like that? Motivation, inspiration, meditation, breath work. I couldn't find it. So I said, let's build that. Like, let's make that. Let's have retreats. Let's have a great app. Let's get women together. Let's make people feel better. Let's let all of us remind us, like, what it was like when you were a kid swinging on the swings and your hair was flowing and you didn't care, like that feeling. And so that's why I created this company.
And I downloaded it the other night, and I'm about to be on a journey of joy. And I think I've been reflecting on why I feel called to it right now. And everyone has personal issues that they're working through, but also there's this political moment. What makes 2025 the right moment for Joy 101?
I feel like there's so much noise in the world that you don't know what to think anymore, because everyone is screaming at everybody about everything. And there's no time to sit for a second and let everything settle down and to think about what you think, what you want, what priority is. I mean, think about us on the phone, like you wake up in the morning, you're like, oh my God, it's 6 o'clock. Oh my God, what happened overnight? Horrible. Oh my God, it's on sale. I'm gonna get that. Like, you go through your day and your brain is like nuts and you need some quiet. And what I realized is, like, you need space to have that. And I feel like we're all being pulled in a million different directions. And because we're getting information from every corner of the world, every woman who snatched a baseball, every person who hurt somebody, everybody who fell down, our brains aren't meant to take in all of this information. It's too much emotional information. So we need to filter it out. You know, we need to change the things we can change, but then make room for yourself, make space. Like, I sit quietly every morning and meditate. I have to tell you, I didn't think I could sit still for 20 minutes if you paid me. All of a sudden, I feel my body settling. All of a sudden, ideas start coming. All of a sudden, I have clarity. Why? Because for 20 minutes, I wasn't thinking about the world, the United States, even my kids, just 20 minutes of sheer quiet. And it changes how you view the world. So I feel like we need it. Like, I need it. I know I need it. I couldn't be functioning in the world today if I wasn't doing stuff like that.
My brother meditates every morning.
Does he?
He's a medical resident, so he gets up at like 4:30 just to have that quiet time. He's younger than me, and I need to learn from him, is what I am learning. But speaking of learning, what has been the greatest entrepreneurial learning? Because this is your first time as an entrepreneur.
By the way, I'm a beginner all over again. It's like, when I started at NBC, I didn't know what I was doing, and I felt like a kid. I feel like that all over again. But I think my 60s, I'm 61, my 60s are like my begin again era, like learn new things era. So I'm a cheerleader by nature. I'm like, you did it, go girl. Like that's what I want to do. But I do realize that in a business, you have to have meaningful, important, straightforward conversations that sometimes are painful. You have to be able to tell somebody the truth. And that was one of my big lessons, because I felt like my role was to lead from the back of the boat and cheer. But now I realize that sometimes you have to have really good, important conversations. And Emma Greed, I don't know if you guys know her, she's amazing. She is an incredible entrepreneur, and she's on our board, and I'm learning from her too. But her suggestion was, spend 25% of every single day focusing on hiring. If you hire the right people, you don't spend all of your time checking to see what they're doing, if it's right, micromanaging. So, and the other thing I learned too is when I hire now, unbridled enthusiasm wins the day every single time. I don't care where your degree's from. If you come in saying, I'll do it. If I said, who can do it? I'll do it. If you're the one with your hand up, you're the one I'm choosing. So I'm hiring based on that. And I'm also hiring based on love. Like, my sister works with me. My best friend works with me. My best friend told me about her best friend who started Open Table. He works with us. He told us about this woman who's a great CEO and a good friend. She works as our COO. She told us about this other girl. She works. Everybody who works with us comes from love. So I feel like if we build a company based on that, we know that our foundation is strong. And the other thing I really insist upon is, like, there are two emotions, love and fear. If you are afraid, I don't want you with us. I don't want you to put that out into the world. We can be careful, we can be smart, we can count our nickels, but don't be afraid. We will be successful, and I want people to know that.
Talking about fear, so this book, I'm still working my way through it, but it talks about making change, which can be a moment of fear. And you write, this really hit me, we tell ourselves that as long as things aren't terrible, we should be satisfied, that wanting more is greedy. I won't make everyone raise their hands, but I know I have felt that way. What made you write that? Was there a moment that you felt that way?
I think a good enough life is something I felt like I always had. Good enough was enough. If you ask for more, aren't you being selfish? I felt like that, quite frankly. I was in my late 40s, and I had dreamt of having children. And I remembered saying, stop thinking about it. It's selfish. You have a great career, great friends, great nieces, great everything. Stop asking for everything. And I kept pushing it down, like, stop asking. And I was walking with one of my dearest friends, Jen Miller, down the street, and she said something like, well, we never wanted kids. And I said, actually, I did. She goes, but you never mentioned it. And I said, I know, I didn't say it because it's too late. Like, it's like me saying I want to be an astronaut tomorrow. Like, it's not happening, so I don't want to say it. And then I realized something. When you speak out the thing you dream about, when you say it, even if you whisper it to yourself in the bathroom mirror, but when you speak it aloud, something happens. So I went home, and Sandra Bullock, weirdly, was on TV talking about how she adopted a baby from New Orleans, Louis. So I was like, how old is Sandra Bullock? I'm like, oh my God, she's my age. So I was like, wait, we're the same age. It's possible. And so all of a sudden, things started happening. I looked on a television screen, and there was a child in a war-torn area who'd lost his parents. And I thought, that kid might need me, and I need him. So everywhere I looked, things were happening. And so I started the adoption process right away. And I was sitting at NBC at my desk, and I got a text from someone from the agency, and she said, if you ever see my name, you call me right away, because it's times of the essence. And I looked at the phone, I saw her name, and I put the phone down, and I grabbed a yellow pad, and I wrote, 11:56 a.m., this is the moment everything changes. I said, there will be a before and after starting right now. I knew it. I wrote and wrote. I put the pen down. I called her. And she said my two most favorite words in the English language. She said, she's here. I was like, she's here. Oh my God, she's here. So got on a plane shortly after and scooped up Haley. And 2 years later, it was Hope. That wasn't greedy. That wasn't asking for more. That was like your ability to love is beyond measure. You have room. There's room for more. And so I thought to myself, if I had thought that, which I had for most of my life, I wouldn't have the two most precious children in the world. One's going into third grade, one's in first. I've got a third grader and a first grader, and I can't believe I get to do it. So I think I put my own limits on me. You know, I don't want to ask for that raise because I already make enough, or they said it's a terrible time. It's always a terrible time. Whenever you want to raise, not now, maybe later, go back home. And you go, okay, well, thank you. And you're like, what happened? But you have to know you're worth something. You're worth being a mother. You're worth the pay that they're giving you and some. You're worth more. And I think it's telling yourself that, because we can all walk around and think, well, a good enough life is not good enough. You deserve and can get more because you are entitled to more. You're worthy of more. And I think Susie Welch said a B+ life is the most dangerous kind of life because you don't ever try for an A life, because a B+ is great. Why do I try for that? I have this. So I think shoot for it.
Shoot for it. And you also write that confidence is the key to trusting the change you're about to make is the right one, at least for now.
I think, yeah, being confident it's tough because you have to tell yourself that you can do it. I always tell my kids, thoughts become things. If you think you're going to fall, you will. You ever been on a bike when you're a kid and you're like, I'm going to fall, I'm going to fall, I'm going to fall? You fall almost every single time. But thoughts become things. So I think you have to know kind of deep down that there is something inside you that can do this. It's a possibility to do this. And I think confidence comes, it's not about, like I've fallen down a ton already, but it's about what happens sort of after that face plant. What do you do? Do you get up and go?
How much confidence did it take to make the change to leave the Today Show?
It took all of it. It took all that I had, because it's like, imagine you're in the warmest hug in the world. But I also realized something on that. I remember I turned 60 and I was on the plaza, and I remember the day, and Jenna's dad gave me a painting and I was sobbing the whole time. It was just so emotional and weird. Like the whole thing was kind of like, what's happening? And it struck me when I was out there and I saw a sign from a woman who came from Minneapolis or something, and she was turning 62 and she wanted to share her birthday, and I was so touched. But I also knew something in that moment. I knew that it was the top of the wave. I knew it. I was like, it doesn't get better. This is it. This is the moment.
It was just a gut feeling.
I felt it, like a calming gut feeling. All of a sudden, I felt like a warm hand on my heart, like, oh, okay. Wow, I never thought I'd ever see this view. And I had interviewed an actor who described one time, he said, life's a series of waves. He said, sometimes you're on top of the big one. It's like the Oscar. Everyone's talking about you. Woo! And so that wave will crash. All of them do. And then your job is to paddle back out and catch another one. So which one are you going to catch? Maybe this one's just kind of a little fun one. Maybe this one might be another monster. You don't know, but you just continue paddling back. I think when you try to ride your wave past the crest, you find yourself in a different place you don't really want to be. So I do think it's important to recognize, and it's hard to, because, you know, sometimes things are so good. But I realize now as I start this new wave, like, it's so fun. Like, it's so exciting to start something, something that you dreamt of.
What's your advice for people in this room who might feel like they're on the other side of that wave, but they don't know if they should look for the next wave or how to look for the next wave?
I don't know. I feel like sometimes staying on the wave is cool too. You know, I mean, everyone's got their own trip. You know, I feel like some people ride one wave all the way to the end of their life and love it. And that's like, way to go. I also think life's really kind of where you fix your gaze. So riding that wave may feel perfect for you. I interviewed Sheryl Ralph the other day. She's the one who, I don't know if you got, she was in Dreamgirls on Broadway, and then she won her first Emmy at age 67 or something for Abbott Elementary. And she gave a speech that if you haven't seen it, just watch it again because it'll make you feel good. Anyway, I was talking to her about her career, and she said, when I was younger, Robert De Niro spoke to her about her career, and he said, look, you're a magnificent actress. I think you're incredible. It's too bad, you know, there aren't that many roles for black women. He said, you know, you're gonna really have to plant a flag, and it's gonna be difficult, you know, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, wow, you know, she said that. And she goes, yeah, did you hear what I said? And I said, yeah, I did. She goes, no, did you hear what I said? She said, Robert De Niro said I was a magnificent actress. That's what she remembered. That's what she took. That's why she's 67 with her star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. That's why. Why? Because she took that piece of that sentence. So think about all the sentences in your life that someone says to you and what you take. She is full of optimism and bubbling. Like, I wanted to be around. I didn't want her to leave. I love her. But I was just thinking, that's why. Where do you fix your gaze? And that, to me, is how you find the joy. That is how you determine the life you're going to live. That's exactly, it's the same, it's the whole thoughts become things. It's like you've really got to make sure you do that. And the more people who I'm around and I meet like that, I gravitate to them because they are like, they're changing the world.
Sheryl, for those of you who joined us in Abu Dhabi this past March for the 30-50 Summit, was our Lifetime Achievement Awardee. She was on the 50 over 50, as were you. You were one of the faces of the list in 2022. And at the time, you said it gets greater later, and you were referring to your journalistic career.
Yeah.
And now, 3 years later, a lot has changed. Did you ever imagine being CEO, founder?
Yeah. I know all of those things seem so out of reach. And now as I sit here and I think about, you know, I always defined myself by NBC. It just, what do you do? Oh, I work at NBC. Oh, Today's Show, yeah. You know, that was just my F6 button. Like, that's just how I spoke. And now it's so interesting because I have a whole new career. It's such a learning process and it's beautiful. I get to sit with my kids and life slows down. Like the other day, I was in the bathroom with Hope, she's my little one, and I was reading Cinderella, because that's what you do, on a cat bed. We don't have a cat, but anyway, it's in the bathroom. And I'm like, Cinderella, and she goes, and I looked at her when we were done, and she goes, I said, honey, what's it like to have, my daughter has type 1 diabetes, she was diagnosed a couple years ago. I said, what's it like to have diabetes? And she goes, well, kind of it hurts my arms sometimes with all the, you know, injections and needles and things. And she said, and sometimes I get sad because I can't eat the food that my friends eat. I'm like listening to her, my heart is like breaking. And she said, and then I think, oh well, and then I just go about my day and I go, okay. And then she looked at me and she goes, what's it like for you? I go, what? She goes, what's it like for you to have me? I was like, oh, geez, oh my God. And I said, well, honey, I said, let me tell you something. I said, what I think about every time I look at you is that God made you the strongest little girl that is out there. I said, when I look at you, I see the strongest little girl. You do? Her back's getting straighter and straighter. And I said, sometimes it hurts my feelings too that I can't give you all the things you want, but we know that your body's getting better when you don't have those things. Anyway, what I thought was, and she's like, can you wipe me? I'm like, yeah, of course. Because it all boils down to that at the end. But I was thinking to myself, when I was sprinting through life, I think I missed conversations because I was too busy getting the shoes on and running out the door. And so, and I'm still working a lot, but I just slowed down my thoughts and my process, because Hope also was the one who, when I was thinking about leaving the Today Show, I was wrestling with it. And we were in the front yard and she was climbing this tree, the same tree that she goes up and down and up and down. I'm just standing at the bottom. Look at me. I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like, should I quit? Should I leave? What am I doing? Up and down the tree. And she goes, look, Mom, I'm up here. I'm up here again. And I go, wow, you're at the top. I go, honey, what are you going to do now? You know, she goes, I guess it's time to find a different tree. I go, what? She goes, a different tree. We already did this tree. I was like, we already did this tree. We already did this tree. Yes, that's it. But that was it. But anyway, slowing down the day opens up for beautiful conversations that I was sprinting past. And I think I learned a lot about slowing down my days, and that's been very helpful.
We're out of time, but I have to ask, what will success look like for Joy 101? Because for so long it was ratings and audience.
Yeah.
But you've talked about slowing down, enjoying the moment.
For my company, success will come when I think a lot of people are just using it because I think they'll feel better. I think success to me now means happiness. I think success to me now means a company that's steady Eddie and crushing it, but also watching my kids pick up acorns on the way to school and being able to take my time. Success is like feeling the weight of their hand in mine. Like, success is a lot of things. It used to be ratings, and now success to me is a kind of a more wider picture. It's my time pie carved up differently. And it's beautiful. I work as hard as I've ever worked, actually. However, for some reason, I have more hours in the day, it seems. And I work from my home, so my kids, wave to me and moon me and okay. Anyway, but I'm just more present. So I think that's how I would define it.
More present. Hoda, thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
guys.
joining us. And
Thank you. Thank you guys so much. Thank you.